Good morning, and what is up, everybody? I guess I say good morning. It's good morning for me. Good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are watching this. Appreciate having you here. Want to go ahead and just say right off the bat, my good mic is not working today. I'm not sure what the deal is, so I'm on the headset mic. Please forgive. But I also wanted to say thanks to everybody for being here. Um, yeah, it's been a while, you guys. It's been a while, and I am happy to see each and every one of you guys. We've already got some people in the chat. Can't beat that. You really can't. Um, so let's say, hey, we got Jazz Fusion. Uh, Interesting to read that we are sniffing at Locatelli. Like it. Bring in the big cheese. Um, from Italy. He's very good at. Yeah, we will actually be talking more about Locatelli today. Good shout, Jazz Fusion. And then we got Adrian, aka Spurs Diehards TTID, saying good afternoon, Colin, Jose, et al. Yes, Jose will be here any moment. So for everybody who came just to see Jose, don't leave. He will be back. And speak his name, and he will show up. I think we're gonna have Jose any second, you guys. Um, Lovely, lovely stuff. Scott Colliver's in the house saying hello, ladies and gentlemen. What's up, Scott? Hope you're doing well. Hope everything is good in your hood. And look who we've got. We've got our guest today. Jose's here. What's up, Jose?
Good afternoon, Colin. Sorry, I don't know. For some reason, it went on a go slow and it just wouldn't let me in at all. It's taken me
Oh,
taken me about 7 or 8 minutes to get in. But not you. It's not your
weird.
end. It's my end. No, it's my end. But yeah, no, I'm good. Welcome back, Talk and Ball.
It feels good. It feels good to be back. I was telling everybody it's been a long time, but it's nice to see. It's nice to see everyone again. Um,
Yeah, good, good, good. It's Locatelli. I didn't even know Locatelli. We've been interested in. I've been working. I've had my 2 weeks leave, Colin. I'm back at work today. So.
is it a crushing feeling? Doesn't it? It's kind of like
I've been on leave for 2 weeks and I had an out of office on there and I had over 400 emails when I logged in
did,
this morning. I
did
was
you get
like,
those all
really?
sorted out?
Yeah, yeah, I've caught up with everything. I just thought to myself, hold on, I've got teams that will deal with it in my absence, but um, people still want to go to the honcho. So,
It
you
makes
know, so
sense. When you're the big dog, people are gonna wanna come bark at you, wanna see what you're doing. So
yeah, it's
it
madness. But
makes
yeah,
sense.
first day back, over and got it done. So Ryan's asking me how the heat is down here. Um, Put it this way, I got out of my pool about half an hour ago.
Look at that. Look at that. There you go. Life is good. Ryan G is also in the house. Me and Ryan G, I think are gonna get a bet going. We'll talk about that a little more later. We got Ryan in the house. Scott N is in the house saying good morning. Good morning,
Morning, Scott.
Scott. Hope you're doing well in Canada. Chris Lonnie's in the house. Chris, what's up, man? 11
Evening,
p.m.
Chris. Yeah,
11
it's
p.m.
me.
near Perth. Big up. Glad you're joining us from all the way across the world, for me at least. Um, we got Rakdos Madness. Alan's in the house saying good morning. What's up, Alan?
Morning, Alan.
Um, there's Ryan G saying hey to you, and he's already
Yeah,
asked you
that's
about
fine.
the
Yeah, that's
heat.
fine.
Yeah, yeah. Audio Artisan, afternoon peeps. Big up, man. Audio Artisan, you're everywhere. We appreciate you big time. Um, what next? We got Daniel Coyce saying, "What's Locatelli done since Euro 2020? Not much. His stocks have dropped massively. Did not even make the last Italy Euro squad. Yeah, there was some. There's some. I don't know. That was kind of. I don't know. There was some stink about that. I think that a lot of people thought that he should have gotten called up. Um, Spurs Live's in the house. What up, Josh? What's up, Josh? Spurs Live, and then ooh, there's new Premier League rules.
Do you know
Have you
what? Can I
seen?
just say, in the WhatsApp groups, I've seen in every WhatsApp group someone post three changes, right? Premier League rules changes. And I'll be honest with you, there was one chat I was in and it had Premier League rules and it's talks about who has the remote control and stuff like that. And it's about husband and wife. And I thought to myself, oh, this is just a repeat of what it was earlier. But no, if Adrian's putting it there, it must be something that's happened. And
Yeah,
I've just completely bypassed it.
I'm gonna Google it real quick, but not taking much time. We've got also Randy saying, what was it? What was it called? Think that you think Werner gets 20 goals and assists in the Prem? I might have to take that bet to be honest. Yeah, that's the one. I think it's going to be a crazy year, especially with Solanke there to finish off some chances. But we'll get to that later. And then we've got Johnny Bethnal Green in the house. saying sorry I'm late, geezers. Hey, no worries, geezer. Glad you could make it. You haven't missed anything yet.
Have you started your road trip yet to the Basque region, Johnny? Just
Yeah,
interested because I know that yesterday you were working on the car and that, and I just presumed straight away you were leaving because when we went to Spain and we used to drive through France all the way through to Galicia, the minute that we were out with the car in the front, then then
you're
we were
gone.
then we were packing the car up and we were gone. I
Good
know
stuff.
know what Spanish people are like. I just thought I'd ask the question.
Yep, he's been working on his car, and he's had a little cat friend out there that I've seen him take some pictures of. He's got a little cat helper out there helping him work on the car. So hopefully you guys are doing good on that. Oh, look at this. Friday at
Like,
6 a.m. in the ferry.
are you driving through France or are you getting the ferry straight to San Sebastian? You got the 24-hour ferry that goes straight to San Sebastian, or are you driving to France and going through France? Just
Let
let
us
us know.
know. Yeah, let us know. Let us know, Johnny. Shamtan's in the house saying, "Hey, good afternoon to the dynamic duo, Jose Batman and Colin Alfred. Hope you're both well today." I will take that. That is a good one. Yeah,
But
that's
this is Colin's channel, by the way.
hey, we can. Alfred's cool. Alfred's cool. And then look at this, Alan Rakdos Madness gifted 5 Talking Ball memberships. Your kindness knows no bounds, my man. I appreciate.
And they have gone to Scott Colliver, Spurs GCTV, Mark Cook,
Yes.
just a girl who loves Spurs,
Hey,
and dry roasted peanut.
you know what that means? That means I'm better see all 5 of you guys on the next member show. And Jose, real quick before we get too wild into things, I heard your member show went really well.
Well, I believe it did. We had
I flipped through. There were guests.
Yeah, we had. I think I ended up having the Australian Mafia. So I had Tigaro and David Shear. The only one that was missing was Peter Kagayas because the three of them seem to be in competition on gifting memberships at the moment. So I had two of the three Musketeers. I think I had Danny after he finished work. He came on, popped on for about half an hour. AJ popped on. Kate popped on, and Adrian. So yeah, it was all members. Seven members popped on. People watched continuously. You know how hard it is, Colin. Continuously, you keep telling people if you've got a membership, you're more than welcome to come on.
Yeah,
And people chose just to stay in the chat
I get it, dude.
for their own personal reasons. But yeah, once you've got a membership and you do a member show, even here in Talking Ball, when you do it, it's your opportunity. And like I keep saying, Daniel is the most famous one for me, and that is that in order when we're talking and when you're doing shows, people type in, don't they? And you can only type in a certain amount of letters, and then you put in one message through, then you've got to retype to catch up with what you just because you haven't managed to get everything. But if you come on the show, you can verbalize it all and just get it all out, and it just flows. So
Yeah, it's much easier to have a conversation when you're not having to type and then backspace after somebody says something. And yeah, I agree completely. I agree completely. But look at this. We've got so many people showing each other love in the chat. All kinds of convos going on. Shemtan says Alfred has the keys to the Batcave and all access to the cool gadgets. Exactly what I was thinking. Exactly what I was
and
thinking.
just above you've got Nick. Nick's here.
Oh my gosh. Round
I
table talk. What
I
is up,
haven't
buddy?
seen I ain't seen Nick in a while. I hope you're well, Nick. I've not seen you in a while. I hope you are well, sir.
Yeah, it's very, very nice to have you here, man. Let us know what you've been up to, dude. Hope you're good. Hope the family's good. And then I just wanted to also say, Alan, you're too nice. Just know that I don't, I don't know. Thank you. Thank you is all I'm gonna say. I appreciate you, my man. Um, but guys, there's been some Spurs stuff going on. I haven't seen y'all for a long time. So obviously Dominic Solanke's been signed. Um, how do you? I'll ask you about that in a second, Jose. Um, just wanted to say though, thank you to all members and subscribers for being here. We truly appreciate it, and of course, Talking Ball coming to you from Bexhill and Evansville. Um, I know you don't have tons of time today, Jose, but one of the things I
I'm
wanted to
gonna
talk about.
I can go to half 5 now
Yes, awesome,
because
hell yeah.
I'm going to play football. I'm getting picked up at 5:45, and I've got to get changed.
So you don't have to trek all the way there. Yeah, good stuff.
Nah, otherwise I would have had to leave earlier.
Good stuff. Well,
But
awesome.
go on. What you got?
Okay, so this is dumb, and I have to talk about it a little bit. It's been beaten to death. Do you think that Basuma's jeopardized his career with his nitrous oxide incident?
Right, I've not commented on any of the groups. I've seen you comment. Um, and I've seen other people comment as well.
You
Right.
disappeared.
The only thing I'm going to say, right? I've disappeared. Where am I?
I don't know.
I'm still here.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
I'm
It's, I
still
think
here.
it's
What's going on?
I think it's the lighting, perhaps.
Hold on.
There you. Yeah, there you are.
Okay, I don't know why I've disappeared. Okay, right. So,
You just really didn't want to talk about this. You were like, I'm out of here.
um, listen, the guy's an idiot. If you're going to go and do things in private, do them in private. Because if you do them in private, then you're not going to get found out. Now, I haven't seen the video. I haven't seen
I
the
haven't either.
photograph. I haven't seen the photographs. I don't know how. I don't know whether they've been photoshopped, whether they're real ones or not. I mean, I can't comment on that. But if it is real, everything that's happened, then he's an idiot because you should never ever do things like that and put them online unless you want to get caught for something. You've got to be stupid. You know, it's the same as I don't know. Let's say you've got a footballer taking lines of coke and filming themselves doing it, or any member, it doesn't even have to be a footballer. It can be anybody, or someone opening a bag of pills and just popping pills in front of a camera. Um, People rolling up spliffs, chasing the dragon with foil, all stuff like that. If you do that and you put it on camera, then you're an absolute tool and a fruit. You must be a fruitcake to do it. If you're going to do things like that, and it's your own, you know, everyone behind closed doors does what they want in my eyes. Do you know what I mean? So if
Right.
he wants to do that, then it's down to him. You know, whether it affects him health wise or not, I don't know because I haven't got his body. He's got his own body. But if it's real, if it's going to be real, because like I said, a lot of stuff the score can be photoshopped and that.
He
If it's
came out and apologized for it today. So
okay, so but still, you can
yeah,
apologise, but at the end of the day, it's something that's in the public eye. Now, what I will say is, if I was doing something like that, right? If I did something like that and it got back to my employers, I would be dismissed for gross misconduct for bringing my company into disrepute.
yeah, true.
That's what would happen to me in the normal world that I live in. Is I'd be dismissed if I was found guilty. It would be gross misconduct for me, and I would be dismissed. I think for any walk of life, it will probably be the same. You'll definitely be up for gross misconduct in any job that you do in this country. You'll be up for gross misconduct for something like that, unless you could prove that it wasn't what is it hippie crack or whatever you call it.
Yeah,
Unless you could prove it wasn't that, you know, and stuff like that, then any person in any normal job would be dismissed for something like that. But we'll have to remains to be seen what's happened. But
yeah,
it's an absolute it's come out at the wrong time, hasn't it? There's no good time for it.
exactly.
But it's just now. The other thing is you don't know how long ago this happened. I don't know. Is it time stamped or anything?
Yeah, they said that it was the night of the last match. So the night after we played Bayern Munich at home.
So Saturday night.
Yep.
Okay. So because if it's time stamped, like you've got a timestamp on this, so you can see a date and time to it. Then but it's only just come out now. But at the end of the day, like I said, if you are for something like that, if you're caught if you it's not if you're caught, if you're seen to be taking drugs, whether they're A, B, or C drugs, categorized drugs. If you were doing that and you've been caught for doing it, and there's evidence of you've done it, you would definitely be up for gross misconduct in this country. Any employer would have you for gross misconduct. But when you'd have a hearing, as you normally do,
Right.
because there's always two sides to the coin. You're allowed to defend yourself, and if he could prove that it wasn't hippie crack, that it was something totally different, or he was just blowing up a normal balloon or whatever you want to call it, anything like that, then that could be his defense, and it'd be down to the employer to then prove that it wasn't just a normal balloon, that it was actually hippie crack. But if he's admitted to it, then that's an admission of guilt, isn't it?
It is, and
And
it's just such a silly thing too to have done. Like Ryan G saying here, some of these footballers aren't the brightest, and then the last thing I thought was really important was this comment right here. Um, by Allen saying, if I was making footballer money, I'd be careful about my conduct. Any player is replaceable. And it's a really good point.
Yeah, but it's any job in this country. The law is, or the law, not the law, but employment law. Okay, employment law. If something like this comes to light, it doesn't matter what job you do in this country. It amounts to gross misconduct and bringing your company into disrepute. They are the two charges that would be leveled to you. So sorry, it would be bringing the company into disrepute, and you've got something about if it's illegal drugs, which I don't even know what class category it is, but there'd be more than one charge. But they amount to gross misconduct, and that could lead to your dismissal from the company that you work for.
Yeah. So the employment laws are totally different here in the United States. If they want to fire you for any reason here, they just go, "You're fired, get out," and you have no recourse to take. But back to our man. Scott reckons that he'll put his Spurs career in jeopardy, but he'll still play football somewhere. We do know that he's a good player on his day. Um, and then Scott Colliver saying he can't play the first game of the season after what he's done and all the hype it's getting. Beyond that, though, he's not sure. Or some of the punishment should be whether it's at the end of his time at the club or whether it is the end of his time at the club. He's not sure.
So Scott M's comment is interesting because whether he remains at Tottenham or not, clubs nowadays do their due diligence. A club would be wary about taking someone on who has got a track record of doing things like this. I mean, we took him from Brighton, or we signed him from Brighton, and when we signed him from Brighton, I mean, there was allegations against him when we signed him from Brighton, and I can't remember whether the allegations were then dropped or they were unfounded. But it's not as if he's what can I say? He puts himself in situations. Is what I'm going to say. He puts himself in situations. If you're in the dark, right, and someone has a gun and you put your lighter on, you could be seen, so you could be shot, and that's exactly what he's doing. In the dark, he's flashing himself a light, so he can be seen by everybody.
Exactly. He's kind of pulling all the eyes onto him and putting himself in the spotlight for the wrong reasons. Yeah, absolutely. And now he's going to be the one that's looked to whenever things happen. You know what I mean? He's kind of not ruined, but hurt his reputation, I think. Yeah. But that said, I think he plays a few good matches, and I think people forget all about it. Audio Artisan points out there's been a bunch of footballers caught in the past, and he thinks they got suspensions. He mentions Foden, Dele, Kyle Walker, and he thinks Trent Alexander-Arnold. But the one difference, Audio, and I don't know how much of a difference it makes, is that was before it was illegal. In the last year or so, it's become actually a crime. It used to be one of those soft drugs that All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. So yeah, it used to be something though that you didn't get in much trouble for. Now though, it is actually illegal. So we'll see what happens. We got Ben Kaufman in the house saying, "I want that idiot Basuma out of my club as soon as possible." I think a lot of people feel like that. He's saying, "What reputation? He got sent off twice last season and only turned up for the first 10." I don't know. How do you think he's looked so far in preseason though? I thought that he was looking like he might play a big part in the team this season, especially because we don't really have that number 6 type of player. And I thought that maybe he could slot in there. It
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what he's looked like, mate. Any positivity there may have been has now turned negative because of this. So it doesn't really matter at all. Everybody's not going to think about pre-season now. Everyone's going to think what a tool he is for what he's done. That's the actual fact of the matter now. So
yeah.
But the thing is as well is that he's happy-go-lucky. He's always dressed up to party all the time, and at the end of the day, listen, I've got nothing against it. And like I said, people, it's your own lives, it's your own bodies, it's your own minds. People behind closed doors can do whatever they like, but once you start showing everyone what you're doing, then you're there to be shot at. And at the end of the day, he's now there to be shot at. So
I'm so glad there were no cell phone cameras or social media when I was really young and dumb. That's all I'm gonna say. Thank God for that. And then, but Alan's asking, where are his people to keep him off socials with that type of conduct? It makes him look like an idiot. Self-inflicted wound. He was controversial even before we signed him. 100%, Alan. That's what we were saying too. And then we got Gyros Peanut in the house saying, "What's up, guys? Big up, Gyros Peanut." All right, guys. So let's get away from the hippie crack incident. Um, Sorry, I didn't mean to do it. I just had to touch on it. I've been talking in the groups all weekend about it or whatever. So, yeah, I wanted to bring this up though. Many fans that I've talked to or seen in WhatsApp and things like that are not particularly happy with the most recent friendly against Bayern. Was it the performance itself, do you think? And what would you have liked to see that wasn't on display? Like, how did you feel about the game? I guess, Jose, were you one of the people that was underwhelmed, or perhaps even a bit like worried about some of the stuff that you saw?
It's right. I only watched the game. I didn't watch any repeats, any highlights. I've not watched anything. So everything that I've talked about so far since the
It's
game
just a
has
ride off.
been has
Yeah,
been right off the bat from watching the game just one time only and what my thoughts were. Um, so for me, Vicario was alarming again. 2 games on the trot now that he's played people into trouble. Um, it's all right if you've got a player coming to receive the ball and they want to receive it in tight spaces, and the player is probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 yards away from the player that's receiving the ball. But when the player's up your jacks straight away, like glue or a spider crawling over you, and that's what happened twice now, then you don't pass the ball to that player, and he's done it twice, and then after, but the cat's already bolted. Sorry, the horse has already bolted. The horse
I
has
like it.
already.
I'm sorry. I'm using that from now on. The cat's already bolted.
Yeah, in your house you got a few, so they probably do bolt around.
They do.
The horse has already bolted, and then he didn't make the mistake after he's then playing it over the top into the pockets and stuff like that. Um, and then the other thing is the 2 goals that we conceded after that. It was just that they had the overloads at the back post. So I think it was Saar for the first goal. The player that he gone with got free header, but it wasn't just him. There was a player beyond him that was free as well, and it was only Saar.
Wow.
And I think the second one was Kulu, and Kulu was beaten in the air by a player, and then there was another player beyond. So it ended up being a couple of players over with only one defender marking them. And so at the end of the day, you want to iron that out. Now it is pre-season, and I'm hoping that pre-season means that uh, this week, this is an important week for us on the grass at Hotspur Way, and I'm hoping that they iron out these problems, talk about these problems because they've got video evidence, they've got all the analytics for the games and that, and I'm hoping that they any good manager, coaching team and that will work on this to eradicate these things during this week so it doesn't happen come Monday.
Exactly. 100%. I wonder what you mentioned Vicario, so that made me think. You know how he was targeted for his like weakness in like corner type situations or dead ball situations. I wonder if this is going to be another weakness that teams try to exploit by because they know we like to play out from the back. I think if you just press hard, obviously it'll leave spaces, those little half spaces in behind, but I wonder if that's something that we're going to see him have to face, a lot this season because people know it's kind of a weakness of his now. I don't know, just something to think about. Maybe we won't be so rigidly playing out from the back this season. Um, Ben Kaufman, I would just like to see us not get cut open at will consistently. Also, set pieces again. Um, yeah, I want to say with the getting cut open at will part, the first half of the game, we had a defense that had never really played together. In fact, I'm not 100% sure that those players had ever played together before that match. So the defense doesn't worry me a ton. I think that once we see our starting defenders back in, I think everything will look a lot better. Obviously, second half, we did have Van de Ven, we did have Romero, but our fullbacks were still a little. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. On the defensive things, we also have to think about the fact that we were playing a top 6 European side, playing QPR. We weren't playing no offense to QPR, but we were playing one of the top six. I think one of the top 6 teams in Europe in Bayern Munich. So I think that's something we got to remember too. All of our friendlies up until now have been fairly, I don't want to say easy, but this was definitely the most difficult one. So yeah, that's just one thing I wanted to throw out there. Scott wants to say, he says, Kat, what kind of farm do you live in, Jose? That was a little old, but had to get that up there. Suicidal football, says Ben. And then Daniel Coys, big up, dog. Says Jose, exactly. Vicario I want to hear people talk about his shit distribution, seeing as fans like to slag off Lloris for making errors, our best goalkeeper in 30 years. I mean, Vicario does have some weaknesses to his game. Audio Artisan alludes to it here. I thought the same thing about Vicario last season. His agility has papered over the cracks with him. I don't know. Do you think that's a fair statement?
Um, Vicario is a very good shot stopper.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. Now, right. Okay. From what I've seen on pre-season, right, Vicario looks quite weak in shot stopping. Right. So where I mean weak, he saves a shot and he hasn't got the power to parry the ball out or grasp the ball when he saves it.
Right.
Right. And I think one of the goals in the previous game, he saved it, parried it
Push
straight
it
into their
right back into the
right into their play because he couldn't push it out far enough. And what I've said before, and I don't know whether you've seen me say this before, but Brandon Austin in pre-season has really, really performed well for me. He's
I
performed
haven't.
well
I haven't heard you say that yet. Cool.
Okay, he's performed really, really well. So Brandon Austin shot stopping, he stops the shot, and instead of parrying it, he stops the shot and he sort of like gathers the ball.
As a keeper
And
should. As a keeper should, you would think.
well, if you're diving down low, right? If you're
Mhm.
diving down low, he seems to stop it and grab it, where Vicario pushes it out. Now this is only a small sample size, granted, because it's only pre-season. But to me, I can now see. So Brandon Austin was a ghost at Tottenham. No one saw him. You knew his name, but no one saw him. And all of a sudden, we've signed him up for 5 years on a 5-year contract. And everyone must have been thinking to themselves, what have we done? Why have we done that? We've got Fraser Force down, all these other people. But at the end of the day, I can see light at the end of the tunnel. I can see why for 5 years we've signed him. And he looks like a goalkeeper that's not just ready, but he's ready to challenge for the number one position. I'm still lost on what we're doing with Forster at the club and Whiteman, because Whiteman's another ghost.
Right.
Forster, I don't feel is needed. I think there's two positions you can get rid of, can free up two spaces, and bring in Josh Keeley and make him your number 3 keeper. But to me, he does make some good saves, Vicario, but he sometimes he's weak on the save. If that makes any sense, he's either going to make a save and it's going to be a worldie, and because of the power in the shot, the way that he saves the ball, if it's going over the bar, then it's going to hit his hands because he saved it and it go over the bar because of the power in the shot. But when it's low, it seems to be that he hasn't got the strength to parry it. But I'm hoping that this is talked about with him, and and that these are the things that coaches do on the training pitch, and they coach him. He's still young. He's only 27, so he's a baby for goalkeeper status. He's still
That's
a
very
baby,
true. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, he has not been. He's not had a pre-season to write home about.
I agree completely. But like you said, just a baby. Many, many more years. I mean, shoot, we could theoretically keep him for another 8 to 10 years if he keeps performing. So,
I'd much rather be in a position where we've got a goalkeepers that challenge each other, so your spot is just not guaranteed and given to you. We had that with Lloris, and anyone we bought in was nowhere near the Lloris level anyway. So whoever we bought in, they weren't never going to trouble Lloris for the first starting spot. I think what we need to have a gap, a gap that closes between our goalkeepers, rather than when it was Lloris, the gap was like that. We
oh
just
man,
need to close that gap. Whoever the goalkeeper may be, we just need to close the gap.
yeah, absolutely agree. Real quick, want to read a couple comments. Scott saying the concern for me is the whole preseason is we have seen nothing from formation, tactics, or players brought in to show a change from the football that allowed 61 goals against. I would argue, just my only argument, Scott, is that we've seen such a piecemeal, weird, thrown together defense this preseason. I understand that the team defends as a whole, defends as a unit. It's not just on the actual, center backs and fullbacks, but we've had freaking Skip playing as a center back for a majority of our preseason. So I think.
And he didn't do badly. Skip's had. If you're going to look at preseason, Skip has had a positive preseason. If we're going to judge preseason alone on certain players, Vicario hasn't lit up the world, but Skip has done himself no harm whatsoever in preseason.
I agree completely. And Yeah, we'll get back to him. I'm not sure what the answer is for him. I know that he wants to play full time football, and actually start some matches and get some minutes. I don't know if Spurs is the place, but he definitely, to me, at least from preseason, seems good enough to play in the Premier League. I thought that maybe championship level was his ceiling, but I don't know. I think he could maybe play for a lower Premier League side consistently.
Tottenham have got decisions to make, right? Because at the end of the day, you've got this homegrown and academy trained quota, right? But if you want to have a squad of 25 in Europe, you need to have 4 academy trained. For every academy trained less player that you've got, you lose a place in the squad.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So I think Tottenham have got a decision to make. Do they bite the bullet on this, right, and let Skip go? Because I'll be honest, the most money you're going to get from Skip, right, is now. The
Yeah.
longer he stays in the Tottenham and he doesn't play regular first team football, his value will come down. So if you want to get his value, if you want to get his value or the best money for his value, it's now. But then you've got to release the player, and if you're not going to buy in an academy, if you're not buying an academy trained player to replace him, then you just lose a spot in your European squad. You don't lose anything in your 25-man squad for the Premier League. It's just in Europe, 4 of them have got to be academy trained. If you haven't got them, you lose a spot for everyone you haven't got, right? But then the same goes for Alfie Whiteman. He's another academy trained, goes down as academy trained. So basically, you got another player there that we can get rid of. But the only way that you can address that is if you was to bring or buy back an academy player that was academy trained for you in the past. And there are 3 out there at the moment that could possibly be bought by any club at the moment. And that's Marcus Edwards, Carl Walker-Peters, and Noni Madueke.
I always forget Madueke.
Madueke, I believe, will be available. And the reason why I say that, and I said this yesterday, and people were like looking at me on the show. I said it on because I was appearing on Spurs Diehards yesterday, and I said I'd watch out for Madueke because they've just bought Pedro Neto, Chelsea, who plays on the right.
And he cost them up 50, something like that.
It's 54, and that's where Madueke plays. And also they played Cole Palmer in that position. Although Cole Palmer,
but he might he can play 10, right?
Yeah, but Cole Palmer's the same as Madueke. They both play on the right, but they're left-footed, right? So
Okay.
they like to cut in. But with them buying Neto, I think that's going to, if Neto's fit, that reduces Madueke's game time, I believe. So
and that's a big reason of why he left Spurs, right? Why he left us in the first place, right? Was it playing time?
Yes, he left us and he went to Holland because of playing time, because he wasn't given the opportunities to come through.
A first team pathway type deal.
Pathway wasn't there, yeah. Pathway wasn't there.
Gotcha. Well, that would be cool. I like what I've seen of him since he's left. I admittedly didn't see enough of him when he was here. That's one thing I kind of lack on. I need to watch the youth setups more. Maybe get me that Spurs play. And watch some of those matches.
Well, what will happen this season, Colin, is if you was to get it this season, it's going to be a brand new season with different players that you've not even heard of. The majority you will not have heard of, because I think the players that have come through from last season, 2 have been sold. So Noel John and Iago Santiago have been sold. I don't think that Donnelly, Divine, Lancashire, I don't think any of them go back into academy football. I think they will be loaned out for first team football because they're too good for the academy. So the players we've seen in and around the first team, they won't be going back to academy football. So at the end of the day, the academy football that you're going to get this season will probably have players that we've not heard. So a lot of players that we've not heard of as yet.
I hope so. That's exciting stuff, honestly, and that gives me a chance to it gives me a chance to see the new crop and see who's going to come through. I like that idea, and I think I'm going to hop on it. That leads me kind of perfectly into this.
Good afternoon, Ian, by the way. Ian,
I caught a bit of your show yesterday. As you know, I was in the chat. I had to have the volume down, so I couldn't hear anything you guys were saying, but I was in the chat looking at your beautiful faces. Good on you.
So before you bring that up, I've just seen that. You know when I said that there's 3 new rules, and I saw a contract earlier, and I thought that's what it was all about.
Yeah.
Well, the contract stipulates, right? It's the football season official contract, right? Failure to comply with these rules could result in a breakup. Right, rule number one: from August to May, the TV is mine at all times. Rule two is walking in front of the TV at any time is strictly forbidden.
Fair.
Rule
Yeah.
rule three is the replays of goals are very important. I don't care if I've seen them already. I want to see them again. Rule
So
four
cool.
is if when my team lose, do not say it's only a game, get over it, or they'll win next time. Rule five is all love and affection must wait until half time or when the games are finished.
Fair.
Rule six, any other events that occur during the Premier League season must be discussed and arranged accordingly. And last but not least, number seven is do not ask what the offside rule is. And the last one is do not question why I'm watching Match of the Day if I watched the game earlier that day.
You got to study. You got to. Yeah, exactly.
That's the
Exactly.
official contract, and that's the one that I thought you were referring to, or that Adrian was
Y-
referring to, because I saw these coming out in groups, and I just thought to myself, "Oh my god, it's the wrong one. I've read the wrong one, so there must be new rules. I've not read up on them yet. I'm gonna have to."
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm gonna get that as well. I'm gonna look those up too. But those were great. I had to get Beth to sign that contract. Um, you should get on it too, and see if your missus will sign the contract.
My missus
Um,
signed that. My missus signed that contract about 35 years ago when I first
lu-
met her,
lucky man, lucky
and,
man.
and that's before the Premiership. That's when it was just a normal First Division. So she was signed up to it years ago.
Dang, dang. You got a good one there. You got a good one there. Um, Real quick, I want to get through some more comments. Ian's here. We know Ian's here. Ben Kaufman says if we continue to play this way, we need adequate protection in front of the front four to allow them to split and become a three. We always leave Romero and Mickey exposed. That's a good point, and a lot of people are clamoring for number six, a defensive midfielder. And I don't know if we're going to get him. I don't know if we see Benton Core as that guy. Yeah, before I pull up the next one, do you think we're going to get a six in, Jose, or do you think we're going to try to stick and twist with what we've got? Make Skip or Benton Core or somebody work out in that spot. To me, it seems like it's not a huge priority. At least while it seems like it should be, I don't hear much about it. So it doesn't seem like it's a huge priority to the team or to the board and the coach. And
And I've said all along that we need to bring another midfielder in anyway. But
mm-hmm.
now with what's happened with a certain chap that's yesterday with the hippie crack, and also what happened in the summer with another one of our midfielders,
Right.
I did say a while ago that the two youngsters that we brought in have been brought in to affect the first team. Now they're not been brought in to butter up the right, but the ones that were in the first team have not done themselves any favors whatsoever. So therefore, I could see one of them possibly now having to leave the club or going. And if that's the case, we definitely need another midfielder.
I would
But
tend to I would tend to agree.
whether there's someone that can play 6, 8, 10, 9, 12,
I would
15,
say, do you think too much emphasis is put on the number and what exact midfield
right.
position you
So
play?
so I said yesterday on the channel, it's mental because I'm not going to keep. I'm not going to change my mind and like a record and keep changing. I'm going to keep straight to what I said yesterday. And to me, I think the improvements that Tottenham can make, right, will be from the players themselves. And I said yesterday that you defend as a team from the front, right, and defensively you defend as a team, you attack as a team, you defend as a team. And I gave the analogy of when I was growing up in the 70s, when I was growing up and in the 70s, although I was a Tottenham supporter, the team to watch back then were Liverpool. Liverpool were the European champions and were the team to watch. And although you had the Ajax of the mid 70s and stuff like that, here in England, it was Liverpool the team to watch. And at that time, Liverpool had Kevin Keegan and John Toshak up front. And they defended and they pressed and defended from the front. So it started with them players, and the whole team did it as one going up, and the whole team did it as one coming back. And then obviously they changed, and Keegan left and Dalglish came in, and Dalglish did the same job, you know. And then all of a sudden, Ian Rush came in when Dalglish had left. Ian Rush then came in, and Ian Rush would defend from front. I think for us, the improvements that we make this season is we brought Solanke in. Solanke is a pressing person, right? But it's going to be Solanke starts the press, everyone has to follow. But when everyone has to follow, the whole team's got to follow, because if you don't all follow and one person's got it wrong, your press fouls, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's the same.
You're leaving gaps. You're leaving
Yeah,
people wide open for sure.
and it's the same as defending. And with the defensive side of it, I kept saying yesterday that when we play football, and it will happen tonight. Tonight I'll be on the pitch and I'll hear someone say, "Look after the ball, take care of the ball." I'm going to hear that being shouted a lot on the pitch tonight, because if you look after the ball and you take care of the ball, then you don't have to find yourself in awkward positions because you've lost the ball, and then you get done in transition if you look after the ball. Now, obviously, Postecoglou's got a certain way of playing, but he needs certain players to either play his way of football or understand it all of how to play like that. And I think that this season, right, even though more transfers can still be made, I think this season he has more players in the squad this season that understand this type of football rather than what he had last season. Because a lot of the players he had last season have now left the club, right?
Yeah.
Because they were round pegs in square holes in the football that he was trying to play. So, to me, if you've got the right players, you look after the ball, you press as a team, and you defend as a team, then a lot of this might be sorted out. Is what I'm going to say.
I like it. I agree. And I pretty much agree with everything that you have to say. That's why I think we jive so well together. We've got a pretty similar view on things. I think I might be a little bit of a happier clapper than you, but that's it. That's all. We're both, I'd say we're both happy clappers to an extent. I like that, though. I like that nickname for us. So, real quick, you talked about Bergvall and Gray and how you thought they'd be coming into the team to play. You know, you didn't think they were going to be there to make up the numbers or play in the youth teams. We've seen them both this preseason, a lot of them. If you had to give them a grade, like a 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest, what would you grade those guys? And this goes to the chat as well. Just wondered what you guys thought of these two fine young gentlemen that a lot of people, especially with Archie Gray, we're not very happy when we signed him. You know, there was a lot of, I don't want to say disdain for the signing, but there was definitely a couple people upset about the money spent, you know, about how that would mean that we weren't going to spend money other places, and that it was all for an 18-year-old that wouldn't get game time. But from what I've seen from him, I mean, Gray in particular, I've been really impressed by Bergvall too, but I don't know, they're both 7s or 8s for me. And that might be factoring in expectations. You know, if they were like fully capped internationals that have been playing for years and years, I might hold them to higher standards. But I think for right now, as 18-year-olds, you know, I think they both looked great.
For me, they are both going to become first team players. I have no doubt about it. I didn't have to watch pre-season for it to tell me this. All right. Now, I think people are beating on Gray a lot, and I've heard a lot of people beating on Gray. Right.
Yeah.
And if you beat these players up before they've even started, you know, it's not worth it. I think Gray has done well. I have said on a different show, whether it was mine or somebody else's, last week or the week before, it might have been 2 weeks ago. For me, you learn from the players that you're around and the more senior players. And I've said that for me, Gray and Bergvall would probably learn the most from a certain Rodrigo Bentancur, right? Rodrigo Bentancur still wasn't back at the club when I said this. And it's interesting that in the second half against Bayern Munich, Gray played, Bergvall played, and Bentancur played. Bentancur didn't start the first half. It was Sarr, Madison, and Biss. The other three all started in the second half. And I think that I think Bentancur, his game, the midfield improved in the second half against Bayern. And no one's going to start telling me, but it was a tired Bayern or it was an A team, B team, C team. Because the players that Bayern had in the second half, if you're going to call players like Paulinho and these players that they came on in the second half, you're going to call them
B-Tech players or whatever. Yeah.
B players, you know, you're completely wrong. So at the end of the day, these two players have come to fit the first team. They've both done well in their own different ways. I mean, Gray played centre back. Gray had one game in midfield against it's the first game against Bayern.
Yeah.
And then yesterday he played. Oh, sorry, when they played Saturday. Saturday, I think he played more right back. Now, people will tell me that Gray lost the ball loads on Saturday. Do you know what? I remember Gray winning that ball and starting moves off and playing 1-2s and playing both.
Receiving the ball, coming to receive the ball in congested
Yeah,
areas too, and
playing
not.
playing with his right and his left foot. He was controlling the ball with both feet. So for me, I'm not going to beat Gray up. I think Gray will become a really, really good player at Tottenham. Bergval on Saturday. Yeah, he broke up play, and I was saying this yesterday. He did it effortlessly. He didn't have to go ramming into a tackle. He just went into the tackle, put his body weight into it. Although I'm not going to say he's the largest of men, um, but he put his foot onto the tackle and he came away with the ball all the time. I don't think he missed a tackle. When he came on and he progressed the ball, it led to Kulu's second goal. So Bergval is another good player. We've got some good youngster players there, and they will end up first team footballers. So I'm happy with them too. I
Yeah.
can't say I'm not. And like I said, the one thing I will say about the youngers is you got to allow them an opportunity to make a mistake here and there. You have to, because they won't learn otherwise. And the one thing we know about the youngsters, so not including just them two, but your Mikey Moore, Lancashire, Donnelly, Devine, right? I'm gonna outline them six because they're the young ones, right?
Yep.
Them six, they put a shirt on and it's different gravy. They're playing for the badge, they're playing for the fans, they're playing for themselves. They've got no baggage, they've got no horror stories that come with them playing football, and it's absolutely refreshing to see that they play with no fear. You've got to let them make mistakes, and that's the only way they're going to learn. Obviously, we don't want them to make too many, but if we're going to beat up on them for one mistake each game that they play, or then they're not going to get nowhere in life at all. Everyone made mistakes before they came through. So
Oh yeah. Imagine yourself at your job that you have now. I mean, I'm not you, just you, but everybody. I mean, myself included. I made mistakes all the time. I wasn't great when I came to my new job. There were things I had to learn. I had to get up to speed. I had, and if like you were saying, had I not been allowed to make those mistakes, I was fired after the first one. I would not have my current job.
I
So
did
real quick,
turn around. I did turn around and say 2 weeks ago, right? And I said this 2 weeks ago. I said my starting lineup. I wanted to see Gray, Bergval, and Bentancur play midfield. When I was asked about a starting lineup at who showed, I must have done a show last week, but I was asked for a starting lineup, and I actually said that I'd go for Bentancur, Bergval, and Madison, only because I knew that Graham Bergval and Bentancur wouldn't all start together. So, you know, I think that Sarr and Basuma, they need to pull their socks up.
no,
They need
fully
to pull
agree.
their socks
They've got some youngins
up.
breathing down their necks.
And Madison, But,
It's true.
what I will say to you, Colin, and I said this, whether it's right or wrong for me to say it, I turned around and I said that in pre-season, if you play a ball, let's say you play a ball down the line, a 30-yard ball down the line, right?
Mhm.
If you've got Brennan Johnson or Timo Werner or Manor Solomon or Hyun-Min Son, right? Would they be chasing that ball that you just played through to them? Would they be chasing that 110? Or so, would they be chasing it 100? If you play that ball through to Donnelly or to Mikey Moore or to Bergwall or Gray, they'll be 110 to chase that ball, right? Because they've got no baggage, no scoring. They just want that. They need to prove themselves. They want to show, and showcase themselves. Where some of the first team players have probably been there, seen it, done it over pre-seasons and pre-seasons and pre-seasons, and they're not going to the absolute limit because they're like, yeah, well, the season starts next week.
Yeah.
And it's awful to say that, but I can see that some of this has occurred, right? But it's only because they're trying to protect themselves because they'll want to be in the team as well for the first game of the season.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I think that's the beauty of youth players is that they play with so much, yeah, so little fear, and it's great to see. It's honestly it's what Spurs have needed, and I'm really glad that this talented group of young players is getting a chance. There's plenty of comments need to get through here. a lot of people are still not happy with Gray. Ronnie's giving Gray a 5. Gray's gotten a couple of low scores. Ben Kaufman gives him a 3 or 4. Um, Scott saying he's massively overwhelmed in the Bayern games. If it was up to him, he would loan him back to Leeds for a year. I also want to say Sahil's in the house. Sahil, your comment got buried. Sorry about that. But hello, Sahil. Glad you're here, bro. Swap saying that Gray is ready for right back rather than defensive midfielder. He literally bullied Bayern and right back. I thought he did a great job as well. Like I said, he just is so willing to accept the ball in tight spaces and get things going. I also loved how I don't know. We've had an issue with throw-ins. I feel like where we're just really lethargic when it comes to taking a throw-in. Players moving to find an opening with a throw-in. And I like that Gray was willing to. He wanted to take them all. He looked to take the throw-in short and then receive it back and then move the ball himself. I don't know. He just made me happy. He looks confident. That's the thing. The most impressive thing from him and Bergvall, in my opinion, is their confidence and the fact that they don't look like boys against men. They look like the real deal, like they're ready for it. We were all hoping for it, and I'm happy with what I have seen. Um, Ian is saying the player he would clone from our recent past is Musa Dembele, perfect for this system. Steve Perryman stuck in 1969 would be perfect too. Ian, I would absolutely love Musa Dembele back. That's why I was so excited about Ndombele, is because I felt like I saw shades of the real Dembele there, but obviously that is not the case. And then, let's see if there's any more comments here about this. One sec. So Bergvall is ready based on a couple of preseason games without any English League football, and Gray with over 50. I don't know. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to do that.
It's funny. It's Nick Rakdos Madness. It's Alan Rakdos Madness, Graham. But yeah, you're quite right. Alan, who's known as Rakdos Madness, is the person who gifted you the membership. And Kate, I don't know whether Kate's still here, but Kate, also you were gifted a membership from Alan Rakdos Madness as well.
Yeah, big up to Kate. Thanks, Kate, for being here, and thanks again, Alan, for giving out those memberships. Guys, before we jump into the next thing here, I just wanted to say, guys, Jose is on his way to 600. The man is he is a humble guy, but he's almost at 600. Let's get him pushed over that line. So if you guys have a second, click the link right there, hop over. If you haven't already sub, and if you know anybody that's a football fan, that's football crazy, that's a Spurs fan, send him his way. Everybody, let's help out the family here. Hold on, and then I just saw this, and Ndombele should be a band name on Tottenham fan channel. Sick of hearing that person's name ever again. Daniel, I get the same way.
Ronnie's starting lineup is going for Vicario, Porro, Romero, VDV, Doggy, Bentancur, Bergvall, Madders, Son, Solanke, Kulu.
Sweet. So you're putting Kulu back on the wing. Yeah. Interesting. I don't think that's
Kulu doesn't, but Kulu don't get the ball in for Solanke.
That's true. I would rather have.
Solanke needs to feed off the wide players, right? And he's not going to feed off the wide players. Do you know what? I'm really concerned. I don't know whether I should be or shouldn't be. I'm concerned on the left-hand side because if it's not Solomon and it ain't Werner, it's Sonny, and Sonny is in decline, man. Now, people are going to turn around and say to me, yeah, but Sonny still does the business. He still scores goals. Yeah, but he's not being asked to score goals now. He's going to be asked to feed goals if he's playing out on the left. And yeah, he's going to be asked to be chipping in with some goals, but I don't, unless he's another one of these players, who's been there, seen it, done it, and was knackered from the pre-season and knackered from all the travelling and that, then he's another one in pre-season for me that just hasn't done it. Scored a lovely goal against the K1 league.
Yeah.
But I've not seen much of him at all. I'm hoping that our boys just hit the ground running for the season, and that because pre-season's it's weird, a weird animal pre-season.
That's true.
But I'd like to say that our players will be ready to go on Monday. A week today, Collins. A week today, and we play in a week today.
That's crazy to think about, but yes, you are right. So we'll get back to Sonny too. I want to talk more about Sonny because I feel like that is something that needs to be talked about. But yeah, so you were saying you were worried about Solanke from getting his service from the left. You think he'll be good? You think the right
No,
side's good?
left and right. I mean, at the end of the day, right. In order to make this work, right, whoever's playing left wing and right wing have to hit the ground running,
Hmm.
and both in terms of goals and assists. Um, if the goals and assists are there, right, and you can keep your forwards fit, right, and that means Solanke and at the moment the rotation with Richarlison. It means that if one comes off, the other one comes on. It means you've got goals written all over you. But you've got to supply the ammo. You supply the ammo for the goals.
Right.
And last year, I kept saying speed kills, speed kills, speed kills, right? And speed probably does kill, but it's just finding the right combination. And that's what we need to do. Solanke's got to be playing up top,
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah.
But then it's finding the right combination. I mean, you've got Richarlison can play at left. Just saying. Don't shoot me, but he can play out left as well. Richarlison is actually right-footed, so I don't know. Do you go with Solanke, Richarlison? Do you know what I mean? There's different permutations. I don't care who it is, as long as we hit the ground running and we put away. We create chances like we did last season, but more of them, and we put away more goals. Because there could be another feeling that like the Ardiles years, that you just have to outscore your opponent. And
It could be.
in order to do that, we need to hit the onion bag.
So you remember as well as I do, just three or four low driven crosses a game that nobody was there, that was either right behind or right in front of the player, that they couldn't quite make it to. I feel like Solanke's got it in his locker to I don't know where and when to position himself in the right spot to get on the end of those. I think that if we had a quality player or a player of his ilk, in last season, I feel like a lot of those chances would be put away. That's why I was willing to make that insane bet about the 20 goals and assists for Werner, because I think he's just going to be told to get to the byline and smash it across. And I think that Dominic's going to put, a majority of those away. I really do. I think we're going to see some crazy assist numbers from Werner this season. Um, if there's anybody, I know that his end product is definitely bad, and that's its own thing. But he definitely can beat a defender or get onto the end of a through ball, and then put across, and that's what we need. Brendan Johnson, same thing. And I mean, I'm sure they're practicing this like crazy right now. Um, you would think that in training that's like all they're focusing on.
Yeah, but yeah, like I said to you before, Colin, I'm watching the videos that Tottenham release. Yeah. Both this season and last season. The actions that they show on the training pitch, we scored 2 goals like that against. Was it who did we play the second? Kobe Vissel Kobe.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the goals we scored against Vissel Kobe were reminiscent. You could either have been a camera been at the game, or the camera could have been on the training pitch. The goals were the same. So there appears to be a way and a style that he wants to play and score goals, and the way that he wants to score goals. But we just need to keep creating now, whether it's creating from wide or creating and threading the ball through the middle, because that's also another way. If you get decent ammunition, what do they call it? Area 14. Area 14 on the football pitch, which is the bit outside the 18-yard box, and they say that Area 14 is the most important part of the pitch because that's
Adrian talks about that a lot.
No, well, it's actual. They've done shows on it where they break down the areas of a football pitch, but I say that Area 14 is where you get most of your goals from or contributions from, and Area 14 for me, it's either a striker has to have a shot from the edge of the box, or you feed the ball from Area 14 inside to your forward for them to run on to score. So the goals don't have to all come down from wing play. So at the end of the day, you can create goals without having to have wingers to create them for you or wide forwards. There's other ways of scoring goals as well.
Very good point. Absolutely. I'm excited. And I like that Solanke has got a lot in his locker. I think that there's definitely some people underwhelmed with his signing, but I'm not. And if it's true that he's one of the players that Ange wanted the most when the pre like after the season ended last year after his really high goal tally. And I understand that that's not something he's done a million times or even five times or two times. But after the season ended, supposedly he was the striker from the Premier League that Ange wanted the most. And if that's the case, I couldn't be more excited. I mean, are you at all let down or deflated with the signing? We were linked with Ivan Toney, with Gyökeres, with some other players that might have been a better fit. Santiago, who was that guy? There have been a lot of strikers we've been linked with. We've got Dominic Solanke. Are you happy with that? Do you think that he's as good as some of the options we were looking at? Do you think it's
So,
a step down?
so the few things I'm going to say on this are because there's certain things that work, don't work, and we don't work at the club, so we don't know for definite. Right. The one thing is all the names you've mentioned, Tottenham have never mentioned them names.
Yeah,
Them
that's true.
names are all being mentioned by the people that supposedly in the know and know everything.
Right.
No
Yeah,
one, of all these ITKs, no one had Solanke on their list of the ITKs.
for
Or if
sure.
they
Yeah.
did, I fucking missed it.
I didn't see it
Right.
anywhere. I was
No.
looking. I was looking.
Right. So Solanke wasn't touted by anyone. Right.
Zone
So
18 in the hype says. Thank you.
yeah. So no one linked us with Solanke. Right. But what I will say is if Solanke was the one that we wanted to go for, right? My question then is why did we buy him after the Euros and not before the team went out to pre-season, or even before the Euros, or even the day the Euros started because the day the window opened, because he
Right. He
wasn't
didn't
going.
go.
If
Yeah.
he wasn't going, so he could have been signed then, and then he could have had a pre-season out with the team. He did have a pre-season with Bournemouth because he signed for us at the weekend, and Bournemouth's last game was on Saturday, so he would have been pulled out of Bournemouth's squad leading up to that game, and probably on Thursday. So he's had a proper pre-season with Bournemouth. It's not our pre-season, but he had it at Bournemouth, right? So we didn't sign him till last week. So I think a lot of people questioning why did we leave it so long? If he was the preferred choice with all the data analytics and everything led his way, why did it take so long to actually go then and sign him? He's not the cheapest option. He was in fact one of the dearer options. Jimenez was cheaper. Um, Tony was cheaper. Jonathan David was cheaper. All these other players are cheaper. So it's not. We can't turn around and say, "Yeah, Levy did it again because he was a cheaper option." He actually wasn't the cheapest option. So there's a lot of questions unanswered for me there. Now I don't work for the club, so I don't know as to why not. Why not? But Ange did do an interview last week. I think it was. I think it's when they just returned from being in Asia, and they come back and he did an interview, and he said, of course he wanted to have the signings in as soon as possible. But sometimes it doesn't happen. And then what he turned around and said, which for me was quite telling, was when he turned around and said something along the lines of, and I'm not going to paraphrase because I can't remember word for word what he said, but somewhere on the lines he said that when you go to sign a player, you've got to do your due diligence and all that, and the player's got to want to come and play for your club. He said that when you start talking to players and they say, yeah, but I've got this in the pipeline and I've got that in the pipeline and it's all about the money here and it's all about I've got a better offer there. By then, them players aren't really invested in your club.
It's a
Right?
very good point. Yeah.
So for me, going for Solanke is the dearer option, but we were the only ones in for Solanke, and Solanke said yes. And from Solanke's interview, he's totally excited and he gave his reasons as to why he's joined Tottenham. So, is there other players, Colin, that we have been in for that we don't know about?
Of course.
Right, that obviously that it's a bidding more, or the players fancied to go somewhere else, and therefore we haven't gone for him. So the stories coming out from the hacks now is, and I've only heard it from one source, but it came out said that Tottenham offered Ollie Skip and cash for Pedro Neto, and that Chelsea also offered player and cash for Pedro Neto, but Wolves said no, we just want cash only. And then when they said they wanted the cash only, obviously Chelsea stumped up and Tottenham didn't. Is Neto one of these players? Because he never named anyone. He just said a general answer. Would Neto be one of these players that he's talking about that had offers from elsewhere and that, and probably said, I've got this, I'm looking at that, blah blah blah. And he doesn't business with that. He just
No,
wants players that are interested. You can have offers for other clubs, but if you come in saying, well, I've got other offers and they're going to pay me this, and if you're coming in saying that, and you're not saying, look, I want to wear your strip, I want to play in your stadium, I want to play in front of your fans, I think I am
I
a
like
Tottenham
your
player.
style. I
I
like the
think,
way that.
yeah, I think I am a Tottenham player. Then if you're not saying all that, then he don't want you. It's quite clear that he doesn't want you.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, we've got Solanke. I'm happy that we've got Solanke. We've needed a striker, right? We've got Solanke. Now it is,
Can we play to his strengths? Can we get him?
yeah, yeah, it's finding the right combination now to unlock the door, which is loads of goals, and that's what we need to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's been some really funny comments in here. I'll get to. I wanted to say also, I think that Solanke's kind of journey through football, Liverpool, Chelsea, right, and then Bournemouth. But just the fact that he's had his ups and downs, and he's back on the ascendancy now. And I think that Ange likes that. Ange, the guy himself who has kind of come up from the bottom to be where he is now. I think that he sees and respects the fight that Solanke has put in to get where he is now. So I think that's another reason why he was wanted by the manager, because he likes people that are mentally tough, and Solanke seems to be that kind of fella. Uh, Graham says that, folks, the wife and I can never agree on what to have for tea. Two footy clubs, a player, and an agent negotiating a multi-million-dollar contract aren't going to do it in 5 minutes. Big up, totally agree. In a hype, though, says that I think clubs were waiting to see what ranks the Bank of England would set. That's a really good point that I didn't think about, because then he goes on to say the deal went through 2 days after the Bank of England set the new interest rates. Super interesting, and that is something I literally hadn't even thought of. Being an American, Bank of England. God, I'm stupid. All right, cool. Interesting, though. Thanks, man. Learned something today. And then Dragon D's nuts. I love saying your username. So great. But Levy doesn't like paying big wages during preseason, so he waits until as close to the start of the season as possible. Does it every transfer window. I wonder if that's what it is. I wonder. Who is to say, I guess, except the bald man himself, and not me. I got a little bit of hair left. Ian Meth, my man. All the analysis of Solanke suggests that he is perfect for the system. Look at the goals he has scored from the positions we play the ball into. Maybe we were in for others. Does it matter if he scores? The goals are all that matters. And then, what is up? I'm trying to pronounce your name, but I'm going to ruin it. Orzam? Solanke is a big gamble. Yeah, I mean, he definitely is a gamble. And you go on to say, though, our big signings are all mostly flops. I just pray Solanke will shine. Me too. And I want to see some of those sick anime celebrations that he does after he scores, too. Oh, that can be so hyped. What's up, Daniel? Daniel's back and says Solanke got a point to prove. He's hungry to prove everyone that he can make it at a Big Six club after he failed at Chelsea and Liverpool. 100%, man. He broke through too early, I think. He had so much promise. Even I think at 18 years old is when he kind of came through. Just wasn't ready, and sort of like Scott was saying above, sometimes players just aren't ready at a young age. That's fine. I think he's done a good job coming back. I really do like the trajectory he's on, and yeah, I think we're good. What else we got here? I was going to ask you guys some more questions. This is one I meant to ask before, but out of the youth who featured this preseason, who would you keep at the team, around the first team, maybe get some minutes here and there, and who would you loan out? This is just one. I personally think Langston should stay around the club. I really do. Even with Solanke signing, even with Richarlison, still being here, I think that Langston would be a good one to stay, especially with Valise not here. Real quick, Scott says 65 million for Solanke is insane. He isn't a bad player, but he doesn't close the gap with Liverpool, City, and Arsenal. Well, supposedly, I don't know. Supposedly there were other teams in for him. I do think that he does close the gap. I really do. I think Ian's saying that he does also. Ben Kaufman, though, I am not convinced until I start seeing him put the ball in the back of the net. He now has to learn on the job, and he could have done with a preseason to learn with his teammates. 100%. Yeah, there's really not an excuse for not having him in earlier. except for the fact that I don't know how transfers work. I don't know how the negotiation process works. I don't know how these people deal with each other. I don't know. There are so many moving parts, as Graham, I think, pointed out earlier. And I think that for me to just say, oh, yeah, that should have been done faster, maybe is a bit naive. And I'm not saying that you're naive. I apologize if it came out like that, but I'm just saying we just don't know what all is involved. But so yeah, back to the loan question. Who should we keep? Who should we loan? Scott points out that Moore can't go on loan, so he stays by default. But all the others need loans. We have to be very careful. I feel like our loaning process has been awful. Our selection of players and where they should go on loan. We have a track record of not picking the best destination for these fellas. So I think that we need to be really careful. Scott, good call on Moore. Forgot about his age. But I do think that you might have a point that a lot of these players do need loans. A lot of them. We have a habit of sending players on loan, though, to teams where the playing style is completely different, where the manager has other players in that position that they would rather play, rather build up with the team, rather build chemistry with the team when they know the player on loan is leaving after the season. So we just have to be careful. David Clark, I didn't say hi to you earlier, and my bad. David Clark from Leicester is in the house. Big up, David. Hope you're doing well, buddy. You were saying earlier that Leicester got smashed and that if we don't beat them, it's not looking good for us. So David is in the house, everybody. Moore, Donnelly, Keep, and Loan, Lancashire, and Devine. Dang. They do. I can see that, though. Lancashire and Devine are probably the two most ready. And so maybe, regular game time, week in, week out is what they need. Graham points out, what if Bournemouth were stalling to line up a replacement? The truth is, none of us know. We'd speculate all we want. 100%. 100%. We got a question here. Who do we think will start as a striker against Leicester City? Solanke or Richie, by the way. Those two will challenge to do everything to start. I'm excited. Yeah, Richarlison has needed somebody, somebody on his back to force him to do a better job. I have a question about Richarlison, though, you guys, that I'll ask in just one second. But who do I think is going to start as a striker against Leicester City? I think it'll be Solanke. I honestly do. Ange alluded to it in a recent interview that he thinks he'll be ready to start. Obviously, that's a different question. But I think maybe Kulu and Solanke comes in the second half. That could happen. I could really see Kulu starting with how well he's done in that position in preseason. Ian asks if Richie's even fit. Is he ever fit? Yeah, good call. I'm not sure if he's fit from his injury yet. I kind of think that he is back. I think that he is back. Ben's saying bring back the days when Bill Nick signed Jimmy Greaves in a service station toilet. You're going to have to tell me that story or I'll look it up. I had no idea that happened. That's lovely. What a heartwarming story that is. And then Daniel saying, the good thing about number 9s, a lot of fans aren't convinced at the start, but are won over because a striker's job is to score goals and bring others into play. That's one thing. I like his back to goal play. I like his physical presence. I don't know. I just have this feeling that he is going to thrive at Spurs. I've heard a lot of people compare him to the Soldado signing, which to me, they couldn't be more different. Soldado didn't have the build or the strength to bring others into play. Yes, they both are kind of fox in the box-ish types. Soldado was a small dude. Solanke is a big man who has played in the Premier League, who can bring others into play. So even if he's not getting the service he needs himself, he can help to bring other players into the game. And yeah, that's something Soldado never offered. So Jose's back. You've got like 15 minutes, don't you, before you got a jet? It is almost time for Jose to leave. Well, real quick, I have a couple more things, but before you leave, I think we should probably keeper West Ham. Are you ready for that, Jose?
You've done a keeper West Ham?
I've done one. Yes, I have.
Yeah, but is it going to affect you by doing it? Because
maybe, but who cares? Not really. Just barely. Yeah.
All right,
so, all right, everybody, let me get this banner out of the way so we can play everybody's favorite Tottenham game show, Keep or West Ham. Now I got to find the starting video. Gosh, I'm bad at this. Okay, here we go, everyone. everybody. It is time for Keep or West Ham. Today's edition, the midfielders edition. Uh, Three options. You know the drill. Keep one, bench one, get rid of one to West Ham. And here they are. We've got De Jong, who looks like he might be leaving Barca. There's a fee that he could leave for. Then we've also got Locatelli because I've heard a lot about him today. Did a little digging into that. And then we've got Ugarte from PSG, Manuel Ugarte, and yeah, those are our three options. We can all agree, or I think Jose, you alluded to this. I agree with you. We need another midfielder in. Any one of these guys would be perfect. Although they all kind of have a different skill set, and that's what I liked best about this choice. That's why I wanted to get the people's opinions. Yeah. So
So we've got to bring one to the club
we do. We've got to sit one on the bench
and sell one.
and sell one. Yes, sir. And yeah, we've got more of a defensive midfielder there. We've got a deep line playmaker. It's kind of a pick your poison. What do you think we need? What do you think? And also, you don't really have to take into account will they come to Spurs. They're all for sale. I think if we stumped up the money that we could grab, we might be able to grab any of these three. But back to the fun, back to the game. We've already got an answer from Ben Kaufman. He's keeping Frankie, benching Locatelli, and West Ham gets Ugarte. That's it. It's not a bad choice.
Right. I'm trying to think. So I'm gonna go real. I'm gonna go be real on this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, the one I'm selling straight away is De Jong.
Wow. Okay.
And the reason
his
why
stock was so high a couple of years ago. But yeah.
No. But the reason, and I'm doing this purely for this reason. The reason why I'm selling De Jong straight away is De Jong can be priced from Barcelona, but it's the salary. He's on about 600k euros a week.
Jesus Christ!
He's on an absolute mega contract at Barcelona. That's why Barcelona have not been able to shift him for the last 2 years, because Barcelona could do with him off the wage bill to help them out, but they've not been able to move him on because of the ridiculous. When they chased him to buy him, they bought him and they put him on this ridiculous big long-term contract with loads of money, and they're trying to buy him out of the contract and all sorts. So for me, De Jong, although his fee may be achievable, right? So I don't know what his fee would be, but it probably would be achievable. So if you're looking at 40-50 million pound, it's an achievable fee, right? But it's the kind of money that he would be looking for a salary, and I don't think we'll entertain it. Don't think we're going anywhere near the kind of money that he's on. I don't know anyone else in the world who would be able to spend that. Well, maybe the Saudi Arabians might be looking at doing that. So although he's really good, a really good player, and technically a sound player, because of the amount of salary, I don't think it's ever going to happen. And that's why Barcelona have been kept with him, and they can't get rid of him. So for that reason only, because I know that we'll never agree a salary with him, for that reason only, I've got to bench him. As for the other two, I haven't seen Locatelli play much. I heard his name, but I've never seen him play much. So the fact, unless someone can convince me about Locatelli,
Pirlo light, emphasis on the light.
Would you say he's what?
I said Pirlo light, emphasis on the light. But to me, that's the style he's going for, the play style that he tries to play. I see shades of Pirlo in him. Obviously, he's not at that level, or else he wouldn't be for sale. But yeah, that's deep line playmaker. Pulls the strings.
Okay, so I would go for, personally, right? Me, it's Ugarte. He is the player. If all these people have got this number 6 in their head, then he's the player that you need in there as that type of player. And then I'll probably bench Locatelli. 2 years ago, and I've said this many a time before, only the time's now passed. 2 years ago, I went into a Tottenham on Facebook. I think it's Glory Tottenham Hotspur. It's got about, I don't know, it's got about 80,000 more members there. And I went and posted on there 2 years ago saying, this is when Sonny was wearing that mask at the World Cup
Hmm.
and where he'd gone off the ball completely. And I turned around and I said in the group, would you guys consider, because at the time Liverpool, Klopp was sniffing after him, and Liverpool were rumoured to be prepared to spend 100 million on him. And I turned around and said, if you get 100 million with Sonny, would you sell him? And then I put down, I would sell him, and I would bring in Ugarte and Mohamed Kudus because they were respectfully at the time. Ugarte was at Sporting Lisbon, and Kudus was at Ajax. And I
Nice
said,
eye for talent then. Yeah, they've sure ended up making leaps in their career since then. So
and I turned around and I said this at the time, and when I said this, I was shot down in flames. Ugarte has left PSG, left Sporting, and has gone to PSG, and he doesn't get played. So you got Luis Enrique as the manager there, and Luis Enrique does not play him.
wonder if
So
he's on stupid wages too, since it's
so
PSG.
Luis Enrique prefers to play Vitinha in there, and they've just bought João Neves from one of the Portuguese clubs. Spent 60 million on him, so that's going to be their midfield two pairing for next season. So there is no room for Ugarte, right? And there's also no room at the moment for Fabian Ruiz. And I would take Ugarte or Ruiz, drop of a hat. I'd take both of them straight away to Tottenham if it was me. So if people are talking about the sixth player, then Ugarte is the one for me. So I'm keeping Ugarte. I'll bench Locatelli. Don't know enough about him, but De Jong is never ever going to happen. And I saw Scott make a comment there about breaking wage structures or something.
Yeah.
Listen, doesn't matter what team you are in the world, teams ain't paying 600,000 euros per week for a player for like De Jong.
And it
Barcelona,
just sets a precedent. Other players then are going to want that much money, and they're going to say, "I'm that good. Why don't I get paid like that?" You know what I mean? I understand that the wage structure does probably need to be updated some, but I also
and,
understand the troubles comes along with that.
and I've said many times before, Uruguay's midfield three, and they have got a fantastic engine room in the midfield three, and that's Bentancur, Valverde of Real Madrid, and Ugarte. That's their midfield three, Uruguay.
Ooh, okay, see, I
And
didn't even know that they had played together. So you could
yeah,
theoretically stick them together in for Spurs.
yeah, Bentancur, Ugarte, and Valverde are the three eights that play for, or the supposed three eights that play for Uruguay.
I
Although
kind of like
Ugarte,
that.
although Ugarte does play more of a defensive role than being an eight. If I'm truly honest, he's done that Sporting, he's done that PSG, and he does it for Uruguay as well. So
I'm
yeah,
all good with that. Yeah.
I'm all in on a guy. I'm benching Locatelli because I don't know enough about him, and De Jong's just never ever going to happen. But it will
And a
never
high,
ever happen. It will never ever happen to anybody, not just Tottenham, because no one can afford the 600k a week that he's on at Barca.
is completely agreeing with you. Um, Ben Kaufman saying that Frankie has rinsed Barcelona. He absolutely has. Yeah. Ryan G, regardless of wages, Frankie is undoubtedly the best of the three.
I'm not doubting that he's a fantastic for player. I'm just saying that wage wise, ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Um, yeah, Daniel's agreeing with you. 600 grand a week's just insane. Ben Kaufman saying Locatelli is my type of footballer, but he's not everyone's cup of tea. Ben, we do know that you love yourself some Italian football, and yeah, I'm sure that you would think that the way he plays is very pleasing to the eye. It's pretty football. I get it. I like him as well. Um, what else we got here? David Clark saying Spurs fans still saying why don't we get Tony? Easy because he's asking for wages that mirrors the wages United paid Ericsson. Over 300k a week. Jog on. Yeah, and also
All I got to say for Tony on that comment, right, is that at the moment no one has bitten for Tony.
yeah,
So something has to change. Either he changes his fee demands, right, for wages, or the price drops with Brentford. At the end of the day, things have got to happen. No one's bitten for Tony, as far as we're aware. But a lot of things are happening in the quiet. But as far as we're aware, no one's bitten for him.
yep, 100%. And so I actually had this as a talking point, but we're almost out of time. I just said with us no longer needing a striker, where do you see him ending up? Arsenal is where I see him going. Very late, a late move, sort of like the Raya deal. I don't know, just seems like something they would do. Do you before you go, where do you see him ending up?
I really have not got a clue, but
No,
I
no
think
time to think about that.
I think he's backed himself into a corner with both his wage demands and stuff like that. And if anyone really truly wanted him, they would have gone to Brentford and got him by now because Brentford would do a deal.
Yeah, absolutely will. 100%. I'm going to leave this up. I know you're not leaving just yet, but everybody, Jose is taking off to go play football soon. He's going to score a hat trick and he's going to assist 2 goals. I can just feel it. But everybody, if you haven't yet, there below, right there on the screen, is the link to his channel. You know that Jose and I are best buds. We do shows together all the time. Please make sure if you haven't, you are subbed to his channel because he is just about to hit that 600 mark on the way to 1K. So look at that. Bing, bam. Uh, everybody, you know what to do. So yeah, before you leave, Jose, I just wanted to ask. So with Spence's resurgence, do you see us going and getting another fullback, or are we okay with like Spence, Destiny, Poro, and Gray? Are we good with those four, or do we need to get another fullback?
For me, I think I've seen enough of Spence this pre-season to tell me that he could do a job at right back, or do you know what, right or left back, as
Yeah,
cover, or provide competition for both of them positions. Why the people saying that Emerson's gone, and now that Emerson's gone, we're going to go out and buy another right back? And to me, I'm thinking to myself, well, you've got a player there for the time being that can cover right and left for you. My
exactly. It doesn't
press,
it doesn't seem like a position of importance right now.
but for me, the most pressing part of the defense is the left hand side. So someone that can cover left centre back or left back even. That's the more pressing side for me. But the people that try to make, I don't know how they make money, but the people that try to make money on X and what they do because they've got channels, in they Romano and these people have got channels as well that you sub and pay to. They're the kind of people that are saying that we're going to go fishing for a right back now, and people are talking about Coyote, Carl Walker Peters. But earlier in the window, people were talking about Vanderson from Monaco. I don't see why we need another right back if we've got, unless Spence is just a smokescreen and Spence has done really well in pre-season and bumps up his price to sell him on right now. I mean, other than that, if it's not a smokescreen, then I would say that we're pretty all right with him. But I'd not on the left-hand side. We still need to get cover on the left.
Gotcha. So for me, I think I would go into the season if I was limited, and I think we are sort of limited on who we can bring in and how many people we can bring in. I think that
So,
I would gamble.
Ian, you've got away with words, mate.
Yes.
You've got
I mean,
away with words.
if we were gonna bring a player back, I think KWP wouldn't be a terrible idea, but I don't think it's needed. I just really think we could get away without spending the extra 20 million or whatever it would cost for a fullback. Have Spence deputized at left back when needed. We've got Archie Gray to play on the right when Poro needs a spell. I think it could work. I think it could work, and I think we could use that money in this negotiating time, and bring in players of need and maybe address that in January or if needed even. Maybe Spence is playing out of his mind. Maybe we've got the two best left backs in the league with Destiny and Spence. It's hard to tell, but I no longer think that's such a pressing position. And then one other thing I wanted to ask you. I still have a minute. It seems like. Should Richarlison pipe down? Keeps talking about his move this summer. Is that benefiting anyone? With him saying, "I'm not going anywhere. Not me. I'm staying at Spurs." You know what I mean? I feel like is that helpful? Do you think
Yeah,
to anybody?
yeah. If he really truly wants to be at Tottenham, right, which is what he says he wants to do, and he says to him the football is more important than money,
Mm-hmm.
right, and he still wants to be involved with Brazil and stuff like that, and he doesn't want to be farmed out to a league out in he
Saudi
doesn't want
Arabia.
to go Saudi just to earn. He knows he can earn loads of money out there, but he wants to be involved with the Brazil squad and stuff like that. Now, some players that have gone out to Saudi have ended up playing in the Euros and the Copa America. So going to Saudi doesn't just mean
It's
that
not
you're gonna,
exactly a career killer, but it,
yeah.
it
But
can be.
so for him to turn around and say that he's quite happy to stay at the club and he wants to fight for his place, he wants to play first team football, then that's all well and good. But I'm afraid to say, mate, we've now brought a striker in who seems to be, I don't want to curse, seems to be available more than you do, and therefore will probably take your spot because he will be available more than you do. Um, so in a hype, I said that earlier. Look at in a hype. Look what he says.
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
I said that earlier in the hype that you could do Son Solanke Richarlison if you wanted as well. But yeah, at the end of the day, no. If he's come out and says that he wants to play first team football with Tottenham, then I suppose that's good. But he needs to prove himself because, and when I say prove himself, he needs to get on the pitch a lot more than what he was doing before. Sadly for him, the ship has sailed where he was a first team pick because he was a first team pick last season at number 9. Now he's not going to be an auto pick, so
No, he'll have to fight, and I think
he's
that'll
going to
be
have to
good.
fight for game time
That
unless
might raise his game up a level too.
unless people at the club have had private conversations and said to him, look, you're not our starting 9. So if you're looking for game time, your game time will be limited. But limited by how much? But, is it going to be limited for enough for him to still make the Brazilian squads? Or is it going to be limited that he won't even get back into the Brazil squad? And that's something he's got to decide. But you've got to bear in mind, Saudi Arabian transfer window closes well after the English one.
Gotcha. So he'll have some time to think about it as the season goes on, just a bit at the beginning. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I could see both ways, but I would much rather we keep him and have a good backup striker who really wants to get on the pitch. So yeah, did you see this? So Ian Metz said breaking Royal de Milan confirmed.
Well,
Sweet. We all knew. I think we all knew it was coming, but that definitely.
As soon as he's having his medical, he's going.
Yeah. So, but hey, that's great. That means we can start to look forward, plan a life without him, which is good. He's a good player. I'm glad he was here. I'm sure most everybody feels the same. Good on him. He tried his best. He worked on improving his game while he was here. Wasn't the best, but yeah, was fine. Spence was so bad against Bayern, could not rely on him. I'm trying to remember if I'm like Jose. I only watched the match one time.
Spence was caught out of position a few times.
Was he? Okay.
Yeah, he was. He was caught out of position a few times, but yeah, he was caught out of position a few times. But you'd like to think that with the coaching and the training that they're going to be given, defensively, or attacking wise, he looks good. But you've got to do it for 90. Although I don't see him as a starter unless there's injuries. I don't see him as a starter. But predominantly the starters have got to do it for 90 minutes, didn't they? So
very true.
I would still keep Spence at the club. He's cover for that right and left back at the moment, but the left side is the weaker side for me in terms of coverage.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't. He doesn't look as good over there.
At the moment, your coverage is Ben Davies.
True, very true.
And Ben Davies, he's not an awful player. Ben Davies, he does a job. He is Tottenham. He does a job, but we need to be looking to upgrade that position.
Absolutely, we're going to be playing him till he's 50 if we don't hurry up and get somebody in there. But Audio Artisan, I thought this was interesting. When it was said we were making 3 signings, I immediately said Solanke, Edwards, and KWP. 1 down and 2 to go. KWP played mostly left back during his academy time and with the England youth groups. Interesting.
For me, if I'm going for an academy trained player, because we're letting an academy trained player leave.
Yeah.
So if Skippy leaves, right, and we don't want to drop down a squad player for the European squad, then I would be bringing in an academy trained player that I would bring in. I've said this already. I would bring in Noni Madueke over Marcus Edwards and KWP. I think he offers far more, Madueke, than the other 2. But it's not a decision I need to make. I don't work at Tottenham.
And you think that either Madueke or Edwards would be like a consolation to not getting Eze, right? You would have to think that Eze would be first choice, I think, over either of those 2. And then if they're not gettable, maybe you run to one of them. But yeah, who knows at the end of the day. But I do think that we're going to get at least one more player in the door, especially with now hopefully some money from selling Emerson. It's funny that I have to say that I have to act like we need to sell players to buy players, but it sort of does seem like that, even though supposedly we've got all the money in the world. So, um,
I don't know. I don't know who to believe. I'm not a financial accountant,
same.
and I don't know who to believe, who not to believe. I really don't know, and I don't think anybody knows how much um, how much we've actually got. Nobody knows how much we've actually got. Nobody knows how much we had as a budget. Nobody knows if any of the money that's coming in gets added to the budget. Nobody knows nothing. At the end of the day, I'm watching other teams, and I don't want it's not sour grapes, but I'm watching other teams
See
dance
you next
around.
time, Graham.
I'm watching other teams dance around all the other stuff that they do, um, and still spend 150 million pound. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay. So do you know what? At the end of the day, either we got to get wise to it, right, and have someone that will spend that money, because otherwise, again, we could be left behind.
Could be for sure. I did think whenever Ange was signed that this was sort of another roll of the dice by Levy to get the most out of young players and to they got this data driven model. I sort of didn't think that we would spend tons of money with Ange, and because I think that or not
But,
wow, I think that
you're giving him a 4-year contract, Colin. So if anything, you've got a man in there that you believe and that you've given him a 4-year, as opposed to giving
a
one
two
to
year,
one
yeah,
and a half and 2-year contracts, which they've been given 18 months and 2 years. He's been given 4 years. So if he's been given 4 years, you'd like to think there's a plan in place and that they are going to back him. Now, backing him doesn't mean, yeah, we need to go and spend £300 million every transfer window, because we know we can't and other teams can't do it as well. But, at the end of the day, even if you bought, I don't know, if we needed 10 players and you bought 10 players in to the club, and then when you monetize it because you pay over 5 or 6 years, if you bought them in and that's going to cost you the best part of what, say £500 million, right?
yeah.
But then if you're paying that over 5 years, that's 100 million a year. So that's basically what you spent is 100 million. Now, at the end of the day, we'll have to wait and see. We'll see what happens. The transfer window's got another 2 and a bit weeks before it closes. We'll see what happens. But we kick off next Monday, and that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm actually looking
Exactly.
forward to Friday, in fact, because Friday the Premiership starts, so Man United get the ball rolling against Fulham. But then we know that this week we play last, so we play catch up this week because we're the last team on.
I kind of
Um,
like that in a way. Not always, obviously, but it's sort of nice sometimes to play last and see what other teams have done and see where we could, sometimes it's nice.
yeah.
I don't know how you feel
All right.
about it.
Nah. For me, I don't care. Football starts. Football starts properly again this weekend, and I'm looking forward to it. Right, mate. I got to dart off, so thank you for having me.
Boom, no problem. And I'm gonna get everybody, if you haven't already, make sure you sub to Jose. We need to get him to
Thank you,
600.
and thank you for everyone in the chat for being here, and welcome back, Mr. Talk and Ball.
I'm back, baby. Hey,
Peace
thanks,
out,
Jose.
people.
Have a
Enjoy.
good day, Jose. Talk to me
Take
later,
care.
man. See ya.
See you later. Bye.
Bye. And then there was one. Everybody, I won't go on for much longer. I just want to get a couple comments out. Of course, Graham said later's all. Graham, if you're still around, see you, buddy. Thanks for being here. Mark Cousins says if we haven't got any money to spend, we were sold a dream with a new stadium. Kind of afraid. I don't know. Ryan G. But yeah, this is interesting. Hype says he'd bring back Marcus Edwards because of his decent passing stats. I'm actually going to look him up real quick because I didn't know that he had passing stats that were worth mentioning. Let's see here. Pulling them up on F brief. Anyway, would you guys? I don't know. Marcus Edwards just seems like such an underwhelming signing to me. His defensive stats are horrendous. Makes sense. He does not seem like the type of player that'll bust a gut to get back to do anything defensively. Almost has a bit of like a luxury player about him to me. Just seems to want to get involved in the attack and not come back at all. But guys, I just realized the time too. It's 11:41 where I live. I work at 12:30. So I gotta go get ready for work. But I will tell you all that I am gonna try to do more of these. Hopefully, I'll be at least a couple times a week. And then on the weekends, I'm off Tuesdays and Saturdays, so you'll definitely see me those days. But I just wanted to come back and say, hey, it's been a while. I missed everybody. I hope everybody's good, and we've got some stuff to talk about. The season's getting ready to start. We've got Solanke, love him or hate him, he's here. Get behind him, and yeah, everything's gonna be great. But you guys, everybody, as I always say, be good to yourselves, be good to others, and yeah, have a wonderful, wonderful day. The day is yours. Seize the day, everyone. And with that, I'm out. Oh wait, in Ange we trust. Peace. And boom.